raised on the floor concerning the enhanced promotion. I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer that question. I don't know if Shadrach would want to say something on that.
Thank you very much. I think it has to do with semantics, if you ask me. When we say something is enhanced, it means that one way or the other it has been made better. So what we had to make comments into was an amended criteria, which we actually made our own inputs, and then it came out as a document to be used. So to speak, I don't know how well I can make it for you to understand, but I think that an enhanced promotion criterion was there. So, Mr. Kumi, I believe we are communicating. Yes.
Okay. If it is the criteria you are talking about, I thought that perhaps when you receive your promotion, it came with some form of enhancement. But if it's the criteria, then it's the revised criteria, not necessarily an enhanced criteria. So I thought maybe you had received some extra money, but it's the revision. On your second issue, I am not aware of this. I do not know about that. We are going to look into it. Perhaps we'll have the opportunity to meet with the Director General tomorrow. We'll ask him. But I can also tell you that personally, and also on almost all the notice boards, there were letters from government that talked about this number of or the arrears payment. So perhaps if the situation has changed, why not? It is not for only a few members. It is for all of us, and we'll pursue it. So that one, we'll look into it. And if there are any challenges, we'll revert and see how best we can address it. The issue of principal and chief technologists. Whenever we refer to members here, we are talking about senior members. So anybody who is a principal or chief technologist and is not a senior member falls outside the scope of what we are discussing here. So once we refer to principal or chief technologist at our meeting, we are referring to senior members and we are referring to RSA members. On the issue of the petition, yes, you did not hear from us in a sense of writing back to you, but the petitioners, we had extensive discussions with them and we addressed the issues that were raised in the petition. Unless, of course, there are some issues that were missed, then please, you can bring it up. But we have discussed this issue and we are addressing the issues. In the speech, he mentioned that one critical issue was the promotion from principal to chief technologist, and we are working on that. Another issue that I remember very well had to do with the issue of the 114, but that one was also explained. I remember some technologists have informed us that CAG had won an issue in court and therefore they should, or what RSA is doing about it. And I informed them that officially we are not aware. But if that is the case, we are all happy because that means that each and every one of us is going to benefit. But as I said, the status quo still remains because officially, and this is some time ago, we have not still heard, not even from CAG. So we do not know whether it was even true or not. Our checks have not given us any confirmation, but if the situation changes, we would let you know. Please, is there any other? Maybe we can take one additional comment or issue if that is okay. Yes, Dr. Adamak. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you. the Congress and the conference issue, in the last 2 years, we have had RAC Scientific Conference in addition to the AGM. And because of the COVID situation this year, we are not having the scientific conference as part of the AGM. So that is what is meant by that. So we are doing the AGM all right, but we are not going to have the scientific conference. All right, we would like to thank all of you, and we want to thank Dr. Amponsa for the presentation. Please, I would like to find out if Mr. Kweku Boateng is here. Dr. Amponsa, please, can you try for us if you can get the auditor? Yes. All right, at this point, we want to move on to the next item, which is the financial report. And we'd like to invite the National Treasurer, Dr. Sechi Anand, to make his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. As he rightly said, Dr. Ephraim Sechi Anand, the National Treasurer. And I'm going to read to you the receipt and payment for the year ending 31st October 2020 and the financial position of the RAC as at 31st October 2020. Mr. Chairman and the National President, Dr. Kwame Entry Odro, Director General of the CSIR, Professor Victor Ajeman, Deputy Director General, Prof. Paul Bosu, Director of Crops Research Institute, and also the host institute, Prof. Moses Branford Mochia, Directors and Deputy Directors of CSIR Institute present, CSIR Corporate Directors present, distinguished scientists, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am highly honored to present the financial report of the RAC to you. But before I go into the details, I'd like to acknowledge the assistance of Mr. Isaac Boahen and Mr. Vincent Boache in preparing this report. Both of them are in the accounting division of the Forestry Research Institute. So first, I present to you the receipt and payment for the year ended 31st October 2020. May I summarize this? The main source of income for the RAC is our dues, the monthly dues deduction, and also the returns on some investment we have made. So that's the amount we get, and then we spend according to our statutory activities. So under income, the dues as at 31st October 2020 is 677,706 cedis, 16 pesos. And the investment income is 731 Ghana cedis, 72 pesos. So in total, the income as at 31st October 2020 is 678,437 Ghana cedis, 88 pesos. And under expenditure, the first item is the annual general meeting, the AGM, which we are organizing now. And it's 110,500 Ghana cedis. And the dues paid to locals and zonals is 286,618 Ghana cedis, 69 pesos. and also the cost of administrative expenditure under the National Executive Council and the consultative group of the RSA is 137,239 cedis, 97 pesos. So in total, the expenditure as at 31st October 2020 is 534,358 Ghana cedis, 66 pesos. So the excess income over expenditure as at 31st October 2020 is 144,079 Ghana cedis, 22 pesos. So the second part of the presentation has to do with the statement of financial position of the RSA as at 31st October 2020. So we have our assets, the equity and liabilities, the equity, and then we have the total equity and liabilities. Under assets, the first item is stock. So here we are talking about the RSA cloths that are yet to be sold. So the monetary value is 4,560 Ghana cedis. And the second item is receivables. So these are the expected monies for the RSA. And it is 101,579 Ghana cedis, 39 pesos. The details can be found at note 8. The third item under asset is treasury bills, and it's 224,366 Ghana cedis, 66 pesos. So the total equity and liabilities as at 31st October 2020 is 297,008 Ghana cedis, 66 pesos. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Asechi Annan. Before we move on, I will want to acknowledge in our presence the Director General of the CSIR, Professor Victor Ajama. You're welcome, sir. We are having some small challenges with the auditor. The auditor is supposed to be here to read his report. Is he on campus? Would you? At this stage, I am really confused. I don't know what the procedure is, because usually he would have to then read his comment, and then we'll have to either accept or reject the accounts, and we can go into the discussions. Do we jump one? I don't know if that is acceptable. Otherwise, we can also then move on to the next item, do the presentation, and then when the auditor comes in, we'll ask him to read that. Would that be an option for us? Okay. Please, do we have the lawyer around? The corporate lawyer, is he around? Yes. Just before the AGM, we were asked that we want to give permission to the corporate lawyer to make a presentation to all of us here, the delegates, and also our members who are following the program on Zoom. And so we'd like to now give the permission. Mr. Usu, please, you have the permission, the podium to make your presentation. And please remember, you have 20 minutes to do your presentation. Yes.
Legal matters, 20 minutes.
No, it's the presentation of nomination.
20 minutes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I must first of all admit that I've been hit below the belt. But I knew my program was 325. So I was then adjusting everything towards 325. Only to be arbitrarily be called upon at 2:30 to come and make one presentation. Well, Mr. Chairman, we are here presenting on nomination forms. And before I start, I must admit, this is a call from the Superannuation and Provident Fund Division that I should rush in here to come and make this presentation. I was busily working at University on crop research land matters, only to be told that I've been summoned at the behest of RSA to come and make the presentation. If the oracles decree, who are we lesser gods to challenge? So I have no other option than to rush in here. Nomination. What do you mean by nomination? Move to the next page. Next slide. At the CSIR head office, we have these forms we call nomination, which really enables every staff member to nominate those who are really entitled to their amounts of money with CSIR. More or less, this nomination is viewed as your testamentary disposition. That's you come out to the real. So whatever you put on the paper, it is then irrebuttably presumed that that's your intention, and nothing at all can whittle it down. For which reason, you need to be extra careful each time you pick the form and coming out with those who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of your monies with CSIR. The question then becomes so bewildering. Why the need to fill a nomination form? Mr. Chairman, it is a stark reality that whether we like it or not, we are living today, but tomorrow will be no more. You are taking judicial notice of the fact that whether you like it or yes, you live one day. And by judicial notice, in our legal parlance, we are talking of matters which are so notoriously known within the public domain that don't need anybody to testify. So don't need anybody to testify to us that one day we shall die. My master, Shakespeare, will tell you, death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. In a similar vein, we had one Augustus Caesar, a Roman emperor, who had a special bodyguard whose duty it was to constantly remind him, Augustus Caesar, we shall die one day. So, once you are dead and gone, what then happens to those who have left behind when it comes to a large sums of money locked up with CSIR? This explains the essence of our mission here. Each time we open the forms, we realize there are a whole lot of serious anomalies which we'll have to rectify. People don't do it well. For which reason, there are some we can't be honor. For which reason, we have come here to inform you of how best this now to be done. You see, what are the guidelines for filling this form? First and foremost, you need to ensure your signature is appended. But once you pick it and there's no signature, then of course you can conclude you never did it. And once you append your signature, you will have to make sure that this signature is witnessed. There's somebody served as a witness to the nomination you've done. You also have to ensure that all the intended beneficiaries have their names included. What do I mean? You could get a situation where somebody would then decide to say, I give 10% of my money to Kofi, 20% to Kwame, forgetting that you have Mansa Adua as part of your children. So if your intention is to make sure all these people are catered for, make sure all names are mentioned. Don't mention one or two names and then assume that automatically the others will be catered for. In our legal parlance, what you say is expressio unius e exclusio alterius. What does it mean? The express mention of something means the exclusion of those that have not been mentioned. So you have Kofi Kwame Yao. You decide to say 10% to Kofi, 20% to Yao, forgetting Kwame. The presumption is that you have the intention to exclude the Kwame. So make sure all names are actually mentioned. You also have to ensure that the percentages are included. Kwame, 10%, Kojo, 20%, Mansa, 30%. I don't read all, it should amount to 100%. That's what you need to be sure of. Now, what are legal requirements when it comes to this nomination form? It is trite law that a child below the age of 18 obviously has to be catered for. Never mind if that child is born out of wedlock. You still have to cater for that child if an illegitimate child anyway, but so long as he hasn't attained the age of 18, make sure you fix him somewhere. Because this is a situation where the court can so more to interfere in your nomination and create a portion for the child. So you have to make sure while the child has not attained the age of 18, he has to be catered for. The vice versa is equally valid. It doesn't mean if the child is beyond 18, you can decide not to cater for him and nobody can take you to ransom. That's your intention. If you feel he's attained that age of maturity, you don't want to cater for him. A case happened in our courtrooms where a boy died, the father died when the boy was at the age of 25. Unfortunately, this boy was a cripple. Unfortunately, he was mentally retarded. And throughout his time, it was the father who was catering for him. So when the father died, and he hasn't been catered for in his will, people went to court to compare the court to interpret this boy's position as somebody below 18, for which reason he has to be catered for. The court per 3-2 decision said, well, we can only be sympathetic, not helpful. Because I've attained the age of 25, there's no way they could cater for the child. But there's some to reason that at least such a fellow should have been catered for. So put that at the back of your mind. So once the child has not attained the age of, once the child is below the age of 18, juvenile age, at all costs, make sure he's catered for. It's a legal requirement that need to avoid any semblance of falsification. These papers we fill, these are papers we have created ourselves so cheap. So if there's any error somewhere, just dispose of it and go for a new paper. Avoid the situation where you bring a paper we can see some 15% somewhere, and the 5 have been tempered with to become 7. So they'll be wondering, has it been falsified? And what is the falsification? It renders the whole thing null and void. So make sure at all costs you avoid falsification in the nomination. You should also ensure that these things are done in moments of good health, right mental frame of mind. It is not necessarily, not always acceptable if settings are done on the hospital beds. At that last minute, when there's some indication that the individual is parting company with this life, and that's the time it is proved that the nomination was done, it opens the floodgates for all sorts of interpretations. Was this his own making? At that particular moment, was he in a position to reason? Did he do it in the right frame of mind? So make sure, and always make sure, that these things are done in terms of good health. Don't wait till that last minute. Well, I must